welcome. Leaves starting to change here in Maine a little bit, which probably great for the leaf peepers, but starts making me feel a little nervous because then I know the snow is not too far behind and it's going to be hard to paddle with all the ice and snow around. So start thinking this time of year about where can I go and still get some paddling in when it's really cold here in like January, February. And checked out some places in South America, but really interested in New Zealand. And so I sat down a couple weeks ago with my friends Cory and Rachel, who spent 4 months there last year and gave us the scoop on it. So if you want some tips on how you can travel, self-contained vans and places to see, check out this video. And thanks a lot to Cory and Rachel who had to take the time to sit down with me. If the video is helpful, please hit that like button, and certainly love to have you subscribe so you can get notified when the new videos come out. So until next time, we'll see you on the river. So why New Zealand? You could have gone anywhere.
True. Safe, and the American dollar's stronger, and they speak English, and there's really good whitewater there.
We had a couple of friends that have done it before over in New Zealand, so it was kind of cool to go to the other side of the world and see some people that we knew, from like our community here in Maine. I thought that was really unique. And we flew into Auckland, which is like the biggest city in New Zealand. We figured, if you went to the busiest place, you'd have the most resources, and we could pick up things for cheapest and get out of the busiest place.
Get out as quick as possible.
So obviously you wanted to boat and you wanted to climb.
Yes.
So you were talking this morning, so you brought boats there.
Yeah.
So what was that like? Was it hassle to fly your boat? So in there, you brought your playboat. Did you bring a playboat?
Yeah, we both brought creek boats, actually.
Yeah, we both bought bigger boats. After some research, we found there was more rivers we just wanted to run, and not as much rivers where we were trying to like play on like a surf feature. So it kind of opened up more options to take like the bigger boats. So we and having them in the airport was pretty hectic. You have like a 9-foot like piece of plastic wrapped in like plastic, so you kind of disguise it a little bit, and the carts don't really move that well without the thing being like horizontal. Like you can't stack it vertical.
You can only go forward, so the kayaks, it's 9 feet and you're just like plowing people over.
Yeah, you're definitely a wide load.
But then when we got there, like we're just at the airport and we're like, oh, now we have all this luggage, all these kayaks, like what do we do? And luckily we got there at a good time of day where it was like later in the day, so we were able to get on a bus that didn't have many people, so we could bring our kayaks onto the bus. And our hotel, we stayed on the first floor, so that we just like walked our kayaks into the hotel and put them in our room, and worked out. But
so,
yes, very...
so you wrapped them, but other than that, really wasn't a hassle to have them on the plane?
No, but I actually just heard that Southwest is doing kayaks now, so you don't have to like lie about like what you're actually transporting, from one spot to another.
That's cool.
I think it's like Southwest would do it for like $100, a kayak, and you can put some of your gear in it and go anywhere in the country in the United States.
So you had a weight limit, you said it was 70 pounds?
Yeah.
You could bring.
70.
So you wrap stuff up in it, and then it was $200?
$250 each, and that included our luggage, which we had 2 bags each.
2 bags
each. 2 50-pound bags each.
So when we got there, we had like 4 50-pound bags, 2 kayaks, and personal items, you know? And we're trying to get it all on, and that was like one of the best deals we had. We put it all on this yellow bus and went to the hotel for like $5 for the transport. It was really sweet.
So, all right, so you had your kayaks there, and then, so once you got there, though, you rented a van?
Yes. Well, we bought a van.
Oh, you actually bought it?
We bought the van.
I didn't know you bought it.
That is definitely the way to go, is to buy. Well, I mean, we were there for 4 months, so you'd be spending thousands of dollars if you were renting.
Right, okay.
And we bought the van for $6,500.
6,000 New Zealand.
6,000
So
New Zealand dollars.
It was like 4,000 United States. But then we sold it, so we got some money back. So at the end, I think we had paid like $800 each for 4 months of having a van. Where we could put our kayaks on, sleep in, We had to get a self-contained sticker so we could camp in more spots in New Zealand.
So was it self-contained? Did you had stove in it? Did it have a bath?
Well, self-contained means that you can go to the bathroom in it, and then it has a sink, and you're supposed to have like a garbage can or something, right? Are those the 3 rules?
Yeah, the biggest thing is you have
A
spot
place to go to the
poop.
bathroom.
Yeah.
But you never use it because New Zealand has bathrooms everywhere.
Everywhere.
They accommodate like great for tourism. So they have like picnic tables, bathrooms, you know, like all sorts of stuff for people that are just trying to bebop around, live like a frugal, you know, easy lifestyle, travel.
That's cool. So how'd you find the van? Like, did you had it all set up before you left, or did you get there and just start looking at one ads?
We had a couple ideas in mind of like dealerships that would actually pick us up and bring us to their dealership. You know, which is great for them because they're like, oh, I know we have this person without a vehicle at our
Stuck here.
dealership, and we brought them there, so you're gonna buy something. So I think there's a way to buy it for cheaper than we got it for. You know, the best way would probably be to go in the off season because everyone's trying to flip vehicles, so you can get them for really cheap that way because the market's flooded.
So our summer though. So their off season would be like
Right, winter for
June.
them.
right.
You know.
Right. Well, like we left in beginning of March, so March would be a good time to then go there, right? So,
Right, so the paddling, if you were just going for kayaking, the paddling would be like more often because like the rainy season, but it'd be like a little bit colder and a little bit more brutal than like going there to paddle during the summer.
Right.
And
Yeah,
they always have water in New Zealand in one spot or another.
Yeah, what was your grocery bill like? Like, what was your, like, how'd you,
We usually spend quite a bit, you know, because we try to
Yeah.
buy everything like in bulk and just fill our, in the back of our van when you opened up the door, we had like, you know, drawers and stuff where you could put food, and we would just load that full and see how long we could go before we had to go back and get more groceries.
what'd you eat?
So, well, we actually didn't even have a cooler or anything. So if we did buy meat or cheese, like we had to eat it right away. But for the most part, we always had canned food. Our go-to snack was tuna and crackers. What else did we eat? We had a lot of like hearty vegetables, so like broccoli and carrots and stuff like that, potatoes, eggs.
The prices of vegetables like vary drastically, like in location and also time, you know, throughout the 4 months we were there.
Yeah.
So like you'd find broccoli crown for like $1, and then you'd come back like a couple of months later and be like,
It's like
broccoli
$3.
crown, yeah, $3-4. It's like, oh geez, you can't afford broccoli anymore. Gotta go for something different.
It's a sad day when you can't afford broccoli.
Yeah.
I knew it was gonna be cheaper than like living throughout a winter, you know,
Really?
because
Yeah.
it's warm. You
Yeah.
can be anywhere, you know. You don't really have to pay for heat,
Yeah.
you know.
How much is a 6-pack of beer? Because you were drinking gluten-free beer, so you.
We bought a liter of cider mostly. They had like a big
Oh
liter
yeah,
cider.
they had
like,
these liters
Scrumpy.
called scrumpies, and yeah, they were like $8. So that was like our go-to. But they also had like a lot of mixed drinks, like pre-mixed drinks. So
Oh,
it was
yeah.
like in a can. It was like a gin and tonic. So a 6-pack was like $14, which I guess is like kind of like here too. We had a diesel vehicle, and diesel's cheaper in New Zealand, but it's definitely more expensive.
Okay.
That's the
quite a
biggest
bit,
expense.
quite a bit more
Yeah.
expensive.
Quite a
But
bit.
the thing you have going for you in New Zealand is it's not that big of a country.
Right.
So you could drive from like the northern part of the North Island, where like we went Auckland, to like the very bottom of the South Island in like 15 hours or something.
Oh, so what you did? So yeah. So I was going to talk about your route. So you did both islands.
Yep.
So you started in. So what were some of the highlights of paddling? Like where you're.
Like where we went.
Yeah.
We did a helicopter trip together where we went to Aspiring National Park together, and it was just the 2 of us. We did like a 40K kilometer, you know, because everything is different over there. And, that was a really cool trip, you know, just like having like the camping stuff and the sleeping bags.
But that was the Waitoto River, and it was class 3, class 4. And yeah, you're in Mount Aspiring National Park, you know, so it was just beautiful there, and didn't see anybody else, and got dropped off with a helicopter, and it's a pretty cool feeling. You just like dropped off, it's like, okay, bye. And then we just like found this little like beach that we camped out at, had a little party.
Yeah, it was a great experience.
Yeah, it was pretty
You
cool.
able to pack everything in your kayaks. And what was the, you know, the boating community here, especially in this river, is just amazing. Like,
Yeah.
it's so easy to get, you know, borrow a skirt, a life jacket, get a ride, you know, have people, hey, I'll show you the line, you know, just it's amazing here. What were the boaters like there? What was the community like?
The place to go to find that similar type of community would be the Kaituna River. But everywhere else, like, you wouldn't really see people.
Really?
Pretty spread out.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
For like, I feel like there's only so many people whitewater kayaking there. There's a good amount, but there's not. Like, it's just more spread out, so you wouldn't like necessarily run into it as often.
Right.
Penobscot River, it's like everyone's here for this river. There's like hundreds of rivers over there, you know, that are like running. So people just go different places more often. But I would say a Kiwi would give his like shirt off its back for somebody. They're really nice people.
So what was your route? So you started on the North Island.
Yep.
Do you remember kind of your path? You said 4 months.
Yeah, we went a little further north to the Coromandel Peninsula. We went to Hot Water Beach. So it's like this beach where you stick your feet in the sand, and it's like a hot tub kind of. That was cool. And but we like soon after went to the Kaituna River. That was the first river we hit. That's like the classic river that everybody goes to. It's kind of like the Sabumic, but bigger drops, much bigger drops.
Yeah, and our friend Mikey works there, so it was cool. We didn't see him at first because we got there before he did, but our second time around, we met up with Mikey and he showed me down like a section on the Kaituna that was very cool. Very gorged out. That was fun.
But the van that we got, it had a 6-week warranty on it. So originally our plan was to like stay on the North Island and work for like half the time that we're there, and then travel for the rest of the time. But since we had that warranty, we're like, oh, we should travel as far as possible, as quick as possible. So we essentially went from the North Island, the top of the North Island, all the way down to the bottom of the South Island within those 6 weeks. And we kind of did it in a rush, but we definitely stopped at some cool spots. And then we slowly made our way back up. So the furthest south that we went was Milford Sound, and that's like a huge highlight that like everybody should go to. It's just these huge fjords with like, it's just so steep. I don't know, it's like Lord of the Rings, you know? It's like this stuff is like absolutely beautiful. You wouldn't see anywhere else, and it's just mind-boggling, the features that you're looking at. But Milford Sound was really cool. The West Coast was a really nice area over on the South Island. A lot of good boating over there, but it's all accessed by helicopter, so you have to save your money for that.
Or hiking. There's a lot of hiking.
There's a lot of good hiking, yeah.
Is it ferry? It runs between the 2 islands? Yeah.
Yep.
How long's the ferry ride?
3 hours?
3 hours. I think it costs us like $300 each way.
What about some of your climbs?
Um,
Did you bring all your gear?
Yeah, we
Yep.
brought all of our sport climbing stuff.
Yeah.
And
a lot of sport climbing.
we used Mountain Project to kind of like figure out like different places that are close to us. So a lot of times we'd find places close to us and go there and explore. And we didn't have like guidebooks. We would just look at something and
Think
try
I can
it.
do it? Yeah. So one of our favorite places that we went to was called Kawakawa Bay, and it was on top of the lake, and the only way to access it was by the lake. So we kayaked it, and it took an hour and a half or something to get there. So we like brought all our gear and our camping gear with us, stayed there for a few days. But the cliffs are just huge, and you're just like over the water, and There was this really cool cave that like you had to do a pitch, and then you're in this cave, and then while you're in there, there's a few different other pitches that you could choose, and then one of the routes brought you then outside of the cave, and I don't know, it was probably one of the coolest climbs I've done.
That's cool.
So that area was really beautiful.
Multi-pitch sport climbing is pretty fun.
Did you run into people climbing, or is it still kind of spread out?
Decent amount.
We met the guy who is like creating the routes there. But since that place is like so hard to access, there wasn't really people there.
There's definitely some climbers that we met that we befriended and climbed with them. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But not over popular. Like for any of the places we went, nothing was crowded.
4 months.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Which months were they?
We left at the very end of October, or like 2 weeks at the end of October, and then we came back in March.
So if I decided to do that, actually, I love South America too, but if I was gonna, what advice would you give to someone who's like, wants to mirror kind of what you did?
If you have a bank where they do
Mhm.
transactions and they don't have fees for it, for international swiping, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, you can save a lot of money that way.
I would do it where I would just like take as much money out of the ATM as possible, so then you weren't charged with those extra fees all the time. And we just used Cory's card because he had Charles Schwab,
Yeah.
which doesn't charge him those extra fees. But there's an app you can get called Campermate, and that was pretty useful. So definitely getting the self-contained vehicle is pretty important, so then you can camp in all these different spots for free. But the app also tells you where you can go to camp. It'll tell you where to get Wi-Fi, where to throw away your garbage, where to get a shower. So some pretty useful information.
Did you end up getting international cell coverage, or you just rely on Wi-Fi in phones?
Cory did, and then I relied on Wi-Fi. I mean, we both use Wi-Fi. But yeah, Milford Sound's definitely a go-to spot.
Mount Cook is worth seeing.
Mount Cook.
The tallest
That's
mountain in New
beautiful.
Zealand. There's a couple of really nice lakes nearby, you know, so like sweet spots to swim. Hot springs are really nice. You know, you like
Oh yeah,
play
get
really
a hot
hard.
spring guidebook. that we use that all the time. That was amazing. The Tonga River crossing was super beautiful. That's where Mount Doom is in Lord of the Rings. So we gotta cross through there. Hiking any of the volcanoes is pretty cool. And the North Island compared to the South Island, North Island is definitely much more populated. So therefore there's also more grocery stores, and so it's cheaper to live over on the North Island. And the South Island is definitely more spread out. But that's where all the highlights are too, you know, so Mount Cook National Park, Spiring National Park, Milford Sound.
Yeah, the Southern Alps are there, so you just have all the big mountains coming, like ocean, you know, rivers and mountains all right there. So you really just like, you know, on the West Coast you watch the sunset like every night, you know, and it's beautiful. Big ocean breaks. It's like really like outstanding spot. Spend some time.
So how'd you end up selling your van at the end? Did you take it back to the same place, or did you find a private?
We were supposed to. The dealership that we bought our van from, he was called Mr. Camper Van.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh yeah, like right before you leave, come back to me, I'll buy the van back. And so like 3 weeks ahead of time, we were calling him, and, like radio silence, we weren't getting anything. And then it's like getting closer and closer, like, okay, like, we probably should like go to the dealership and like talk to him in person. We went there, dealership's empty. We're like, oh no. So then we're like trying to sell it online, but we're realizing that everybody else is also selling their vehicle for like already way cheaper than what they bought it. So we're like, oh man, we're screwed. But then we went to this car market that was going on, and we went in knowing that we weren't gonna get what we paid for, so we just dropped the price in half right away, and we sold it within the first hour.
I think we sold it for like 3,800 or something, you know?
Yeah.
And it sold right away, and the people were like, yeah, we'll pick it up like the night before you leave. So we're like, sweet. So we took like, 3-4 days we had left in New Zealand and went up to some white sand beaches and drank some wine, knowing that this van was sold and we were gonna get on the plane and make it back home. And
it would have been an expensive ferry ride back to the States.
Yeah.
The van was sweet though. Like we kept saying like if we could, we would ship it back over, but it would just be way too expensive. But like it ran great.
What kind of van was it?
It's a Toyota Grand Via.
Grand Via.
With 2 moonroofs.
2 sunroofs. A diesel roof rack. Yeah, it was good size. Like the bed would lay out and then turn into a couch during the day. Like the kitchen area was in the back. And yeah, it just worked out perfectly for us.
Yeah, it was sweet.
Do you think anything I missed?
I guess just like more of the rivers that we liked. The Tongariro River was really good.
Lots of different sections on that Tongariro River.
It was just like a nice long stretch. But it wasn't always like, it was always releasing, but not like the level that you really wanted. So it wasn't until like February, mid-February that it released at a higher level. And so it was kind of like a festival kind of when it was going on. So the Tongariro was good.
Anything that starts with Rangi. There's like a lot of different variations of these Rangi rivers.
Rangatata. All those rivers are good. There's the Shadow River near Queenstown. Queenstown is definitely a fun place to visit. Party town with the waterfront. This mountain range called the Remarkables, also filmed in Lord of the Rings. But other rivers, Cory got on some pretty intense rivers like the
Whitcomb River, Upper Whitcomb and Upper Perth. You just go there, just get a helicopter. You go helicopter kayaking. It doesn't matter if you do class 5 or class 3, just do it. It's awesome.
Cool. That sounds awesome, guys. Thanks.
Yeah.